Hi guys, quick update here for YouTube. It's Thursday, 1st of December, Bitcoin Technical Analysis 2022. Hope everyone's doing great. Before we start, we're doing a one-off discount code here, 20% off the full Financial Freedom Masterclass. It's already discounted. That is a limited discount code and will likely run out pretty soon. We're also doing the exact same discount code. We'll get you 20% off the first month of the secret Facebook group, followed by which it will be the normal price moving forward. And if you want to pay via crypto, just message me through the Facebook page at Financial Freedom. YouTube is the handle for the Facebook page. So let's have a look at Bitcoin. This is the discount code for both Masterclass as well as Facebook group for the first month. And that is off the full Masterclass, not off the mini one. Right, okay. So Bitcoin. So we left Bitcoin here at 17,000. We did ask the YouTube audience, and I have the statistics on everyone's answers. So thank you very much for this data here. My YouTube subscribers are very educated, and we've trained them very well over the last 5 years in knowing how to recognize market behavior. I had a couple of heroes here who were coming in with 666 as well as 1,000. I don't think this market goes to 1,000. If it does, we have much bigger issues than Bitcoin at 1,000. Likely the world would have ended by then. So I don't think it goes as low as 1,000. My interim target, which I have shared with the group, I will tell you right now, it's one of these numbers. Let's just leave it at that. The mean price is 6,369. So the average subscriber on this channel thinks the Bitcoin price will go as low as 6K. Now, as educated as my subscribers are, having called pretty much every top and bottom here the last 5 years, still standard deviation plays a huge part. So if you subtract one standard deviation from the mean, it gets you 2826. So statistically anyway, 84% of the audience think Bitcoin will bottom out above this price, 2826.5. As we know, usually we would do the opposite of everyone, and we were trying to fade 84% of the population. So technically only 16% of my very educated audience, right? Had I conducted this poll at 50K, the mean would have been more like 17,000, right? So obviously I was quite late in doing this poll, but that's very interesting. Only 16% of people think the price will end up below 2826.50. Is that how low we're going to go? Well, put it this way, that's pretty close to my worst case scenario. And as I've just shared, the target I have, the interim target, is pretty much one of those round numbers that you see down there. You guys will have to figure that one out. So let's take this off. Let's just investigate and figure out where we are from the long-term count. I always think it's important long-term to know where you are, okay? I consider this 5 complete waves from the genesis, and we've had this on the YouTube count, on the YouTube channel for quite some time. 1, 2, 3, truncation in the ABC forward or WXY into a 5. So I consider that one complete cycle. So obviously, when it's taken you 10 years to complete one cycle from 0 to 69K, it's going to take some time to come down, right? And so far, we have made great progress for those who are bearish on this market and understand how nasty this looks. And we have collapsed 76% in pretty much almost exactly a year. Is the bear market over? Obviously not. How much lower do we have to go? Well, on an arbitrary scale, 0 being when we're at the top. Once again, arbitrary scale, 10 being that we've bottomed. We're close to long-term investment prices. I'd say we're like a 5.5 going into a 6. I'd say we're just over halfway there. So whilst I don't discount a little bullish move might materialize here, and we'll go into that in a minute. I don't think you'll get much higher than 20,000 here, but we will go into that. We have more wood to chop, both vertically and horizontally, i.e. in terms of price and time. Okay, the worst case scenario, which unbelievably is one standard deviation outside of where people are thinking that we're going to end up, is 2862. So that is statistical fact right there. No one's going to lie when they write how low they think this market is going to go. So I find that unbelievably interesting how 16% of people think we're not going to end up below this line, and that's my audience. and my audience are pretty bearish because they know how to read a chart. Well, most of them do, and I actually recognize some of the YouTube usernames. That is absolutely unbelievable, and that would be a wipeout if this market actually goes to where statistically it should go, because we would like to fade one standard deviation, right? So if that's your typical bell-shaped curve, Gaussian distribution, that's the mean. Let's just call that M. I believe the sign for one standard deviation is sigma, isn't it? So sigma, there's your 6.5k and there's your 3k, right? So technically the other way to read that is, well, at the same time that only 16% think we're going to bottom below 2862. Technically 16% think that we're going to bottom above 6.5 plus, let's say, 2.8, so maybe above 10k. So I suppose you can read that in two ways. Do I think the market is going to bottom out before 10k? Obviously not. So I'm not discounting this 16%. That would be 50%, and here it's 32%. So you're adding the 50 plus the 32, I think it is. Well, it's 68, so it's 34, isn't it? And then that gets you the 84%. So I find that really interesting. Certainly, a move down into 2862, I would consider that a complete wipeout off everyone, and that would be completely consistent. Worst case scenario, with a nasty ABC down, which is pretty much what we're doing. We're just copying 1929 collapse here, except it's not a collapse of the Dow Jones here, it's the collapse of the Bitcoin market. So this is going to get a lot worse, I think, and I do consider that near enough a worst case scenario. Obviously, I've got a higher target prior to that, and we're nowhere near that yet. So that's the long-term count. That's my take. All due respect to anyone who's got a different count. I mean, I have seen some very, very bullish counts, which, I believe it's, what is it that people are saying? Yeah, this is the 5. And so everything up here is a 1, followed by a 2, followed by another 1, 2, followed by another 1, 2. So obviously that forecasts, I think it's 26 million. I'm not forecasting that. Longer term, I'm very, very bullish on this market, and I've already done my thumbnails for the next 10 years once this market bottoms, because I consider all of that a 1. So potentially, I don't think you can say this market's going to go 0. I don't think that would be fair. So let's just get the count right. That would be cycle, and that would be cycle 2, super cycle 2, right? So believe me when I say this, no one's more bearish than I am. The Hodge Twin videos, most of them are bearish. They're definitely going to stop. But how can 17k be the low? So longer term, this market has got great potential here. Super cycle wave 3s are the best fundamentals, the best volume, the best everything. The momentum is great, typical of a wave 3. And if the wave 1 took 10 years, this will take a while, right? So longer term, hey, I'm more bullish than anyone, and I have actually done over 10 thumbnails already for altcoins which we're looking at. And believe me, you'd be surprised which altcoins they are, because some of this list right here has great potential. I mean, someone mentioned on my XRP video it can't go to 6 cents. Well, maybe it can't, but I'm reading all of that as the super cycle 1. I don't think that's the 2 just yet. So I think many of these I think the 2's over here, right? I think that the 2 isn't here because that doesn't look like a leading diagonal 1, does it? So people who are saying it can't go to 6 cents, fine, maybe that's a bit bearish, but I tell you what, it can definitely run these lows. Surely it can definitely get to at least here. So it's some kind of WXY ABC correction, right? Everything occurs in 3s and 5s. That was effectively a 5. This is effectively a 3. So, and obviously longer term, we know this has the potential to go to 14. So we know what the long-term target is. The problem is, number one, everything could go to 0. I don't think it will, but some of it can go to 0. And number two, why would you buy here then when you know it's going to go lower? So I would have to disagree with that subscriber there. Anyway, let's carry on moving. That's been about 10 minutes. So let's just get on with it. Right. So Bitcoin. So longer term, that's the longer term count. I don't think anyone can dispute anything that I've said there. There's probably many who do, and that's fine. Everyone's got an opinion. That's the great thing about the stock market. That's why we fade 84% of the population right here. So short term, what is going on? So you can't really see it too clearly on the futures because it's a 5-day market. So let me just wake up the comp here. Everything's just fallen apart. Okay, so let's just get up Bitstamp. Let's see what we're doing here. Obviously, we don't edit these videos. They like to be raw, like Eddie Murphy here. So we're having some problems here short term. We don't like to edit. Anyone who edits their videos are trying to be too perfect. Anyone too clean is usually dirty. So there you go. There's your shakeout pattern. Great. So we're trading within a range. What is there to be said about this move other than it's corrective and your range bound? This is not an accumulation. This is a redistribution. They are redistributing the asset to a bunch of retail traders, and I would be very careful in here. You know, there's a lot of people who are getting very excited here. I mean, I had some people who were questioning whether this could go below 10k. Apparently there's going to be people in the audience here who are going to buy at 14, 13k. I mean, it's definitely going to go sub 10k. And then somewhere between 10k and 3k is my actual target, where I think the altcoins will produce great long-term buying opportunities. I just don't think we're there yet. So really, we're doing nothing. I mean, all we're doing, maybe if you're lucky, we'll retest the liquidation from the FTX collapse. So that was here and maybe here. So is that worth playing for? I don't think so. All we're doing is retesting previous support. So that's just basic kindergarten knowledge right there. And then basically we're just going to roll over again. So I don't see anything bullish going on here. You know, people are saying, look, the BlockFi news has come in. The market hasn't made a new low. That is correct. But the BlockFi news was already priced in, I think, because we knew they were part of the FTX. They were either a creditor or a debtor or whatever. None of the fundamentals really matter. This market has been bearish since 69k, definitely above 50k, and it's going to go sub 10k. So really, the news is completely irrelevant. And it's interesting that a move to 2862, whatever that number is again, 2862, it'll be on the thumbnail. That would definitely be a wipeout. I can't imagine there being anyone left on this crypto market, and then basically they'll miss a decade-long super cycle 3. So probably not a good idea to panic sell everything sub 3k, but statistically that has to happen to start a new bull market. Okay, good. So I think that's the case with Bitcoin then. I don't really think there's much to update. It's a bear flag. It's redistributing the asset. We've got inside candle business going on here, but it could fail. And if it fails, if it what's the day today? Thursday. So if it closes below here, that's inside candle failure. Sometimes the market has to rally before it can break. I.e. liquidate. So I still consider that a bit of a, pole followed by a pendant, flag, call it what you like. That still projects a lower target. When is the next tickle? The next tickle we have identified is basically the block. And there will be many people buying at this block, which is fine. That's not the actual low, obviously. My target is slightly lower than that, but there's reason to have tickles down here. And I'm guided by the altcoins, by the way. There's a lot of leading indicators on the altcoin. So this plus this added to here definitely gets you some interesting tickles between 10.6 and 12.6. Is that the low? Obviously not. I still think it goes a little bit lower than that. And then obviously we've got the very, very bearish outcome, which 84% of the population don't believe we would ever get towards 3k. Well, there you go. The YouTube audience have spoken. And that's my audience. Just imagine if I did that poll on anyone else's channel. What would be the one standard deviation? It would be more like 10k. So even an educated audience, surely people are understanding that there has to come a point where there is breaking point here. People will leave this market and people should research what happened down here simply in the way that it's moved. I can't believe that Dow's going to hit 40k. That is absolutely incredible how you could forecast that 5 years ahead of time. Unbelievable. I mean, the move out of there is going to be 1k probably. We'll just have a look at that. So yeah, here. So, there's just nothing. There's no big counter leg B wave. This is all absorbed into the price. So anyone looking for a counterweight B wave, I mean, I was looking for this about 6-7 weeks ago, maybe even 12 weeks ago. It's just not happening. So that means it's just a straight ABC waterfall collapse. There's no other way to look at it. If something that should happen or that you think is going to happen isn't happening, this B wave is effectively getting absorbed into the price. And look at that, 26 years got eradicated in 1.5 years. So I think that pretty much says it all. Now, let's quickly go over the Dow. So obviously there's a lot of inconsistencies with how this market is moving here. This Dow has successfully taken out the August high, which I find incredible really, but it's a price weighted index, old-fashioned index. It's full of commodity stocks, and obviously those are all price weighted. So maybe the Dow is doing something like this. I cannot believe it's going to go 50k, 40k, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, you know, if that's not the end of the super cycle on the Dow, well, then that is then. So maybe we drag out this bull market another couple of years. Everything ends in one giant collapse. So technically that then sets up the big, I think then you can make the 666 call. If that ends up materializing. But it's very hard to call. This market has been relatively easy to call for 13.5 years. This is the first year ever that I'm having such difficulties calling it. Because everyone's right. The bulls are right and the bears are right. Look at Bitcoin. How can you dollar cost average from 69k? Right? So this count, yes, it's, you know, the bearish count, and I'm not as bearish as some other people. Some other people had it as a 1-2. You know, that is, I mean, that has to sell off here. Like today. And is the market even open right now? Yeah, it's open about 1 minute ago. So let's just have a look. I mean, this literally has to collapse today because this count is looking very, very thin. The market's open about a minute ago. So we'll just pull up the SPY here. Let's just take all this off. So are we open? Yeah. So literally this market has to collapse as I'm doing this video because this, you know, to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or C, I mean, it's looking less and less likely. It could still happen, by the way, all right? Because that was a poor high. Those who have taken the masterclass, the poor high has been taken out in an obvious short squeeze. They've run everyone's stops. So they've got everyone bullish here. So technically that could still happen. If not, it could be part of a complex B wave. So, but yes, this move has surprised me. It should have sold off a lot sooner here. The Dow is giving everyone mixed signals. The alternate count, which we introduced about 4 weeks ago to the group, is all of that was the A. This is now the B. Rather than it being here, it's here. In that it's a running flat. And I think this move has confused everyone. Because that does look like a 5. There's no denying that. I don't think anyone can really deny that. But this I've never liked in the third. Because the third is usually the longest. That gets you the 1 the longest. Anyway, that could be an ABC A to a B to a C. So it could be a WXY, which basically means it could be just a 335 flat. So, which basically gets you here. So the moment of truth is here for this stock market. If this gets taken out, this high here, then a lot of counts do get invalidated. The running flat idea and definitely the 1-2 count, because obviously the wave 2 can't take out the wave 0. Then we have to go back to the drawing board and really understand where this market wants to go. Does it actually want to make new highs? In which case, if it is following the Dow, but if that's not a signal of bearishness, I don't know what is. The Dow making a new high and the S&P and the Nasdaq, you know, not. Surely that's a sign of a huge issue there. And once again, I'm just going to bring this count into the thing, into the sort of arena here. So obviously, you know, it's dependent on how this year closes, how the month closes. Is this all part of a ending diagonal? Well, that definitely gets you 666 then. Then I'm definitely making the 666 call. Because then it's definitely over. So we have some problems here with this count, and it's been very confusing. And I think a lot of people have had this confusion. So it remains to be seen. I'm still very bearish overall, but this is a stock pickers market, as we have been doing since the start of the year. And it's very useful to join the group. We cover commodities. I mean, we covered ExxonMobil when it was at 20 or 50 or 40, I think it was. Said it was going to go to well above 100. Which it has done. Covered AR when it was 6 and it was gone to 36. Even recently, where's that direct line group? I know some people on the YouTube following. And so we covered that when it was at here, when it was down here. And look at that, it's gone straight to its target. That's an 11% dividend. So it's very much a stock pickers market. But I think the larger count, there is some doubt there. Very impressed with the pound. I think that's an all-time low, 50-year low. We called that on the day that it occurred. That is a complete cycle down. Basically, all of that is over. There's no doubt in that. Very, very impressed with how the pound has recovered here, and we're going straight to 150. There's no doubt about that. We were going to 150 anyway, even before I just pulled up the 50% fib. But there you go. So obviously that makes up about 12% of the index. The dollar yen is falling, and the euro is trying to attack some resistance levels there. All of this is very bearish for the dollar. And this is the moment of truth for this count on the dollar, right? Because you can count 5 waves up, in which case we're going to retrace everything. And that doesn't look good for the US dollar there. Worst case scenario, we're going 90 here. As a minimum, we're going to 100 because there's a low volume node there, which I marked out. So that's 100. That could just be the A, then the B, then we go down to a C. So this could get a lot worse on the US dollar here. Certainly the pound is showing me very good strength, as is the euro. And of course the dollar, I mean, it's an index of comparative value, really, isn't it? It's not really the dollar itself. It's showing you what everything else is doing. So to figure out where the dollar is going, you have to, take your count off everything else. Anyway, some interesting moves there, and obviously bonds are starting to, rally back somewhat too. That's probably going to go to that monthly block right there. These monthly blocks are like magnets, so that's where hedge fund accumulation. That is the low of the block. And that's bringing down mortgage rates, which is great. I've not actually looked at the 10-year in a while. Yeah, I mean, it's very hard to say all of that's going to go negative, to be honest. It's very hard to say that's going to happen. But all of that could be the one in. That's the first move done in bonds. Well, the first move in yields is over. So now we have to see what materializes out of here. So if the first move or the A wave is done, that gets you a 10-year rate of 2.3, a back test of this line which we broke out from. Let's say all of that is the A, or all of that is the 1. Something like that. I think mortgage rates longer term are definitely going to go higher here. Just a matter of time, but bonds have managed to recover here somewhat, which has been great. And the ZB is should have gone lower, really. So I think should be able to hit that. Once again, you could read all of that as the first impulse. Right? All of that is just the first impulse. Let's just call it an A. Let's not call it a 1. Let's call it an A. So a back test of this is very much possible. Then this. That's definitely possible. If you want to be more bullish than that on bonds, probably not the best idea, since it's the one market that's actually collapsing right now. There's your 50, right? So, and there's your algo target. So, and there's obviously the extensions underneath that. So something like that. But yes, very, very, very impressed with how the bond market has rallied here. It's been moving in lockstep inversely to the dollar, obviously. So dollar down means bonds up, which is interesting. So let's see how long that correlation can stand for. Okay, is there anything else here that we want to cover? Let's see what these crypto stocks are doing. Yeah, I mean, once again, one of the barrage of mixed signals that we're getting here. I mean, it has formed a swing failure shakeout pattern underneath here. Is all of that just one big large flat? Well, that remains to be seen. I mean, certainly Bitcoin's movement doesn't really confirm anything. Riot, I've still got that going lower. So, you know, we've had an opportunistic little bounce here at a previous low where it's run the stops. Is that enough to do that? I don't think so. Is that just another bear flag on Riot followed by the move down? So I think crypto is still looking quite weak. Clearly, no one wants to park their money here, and that is quite clear. You don't get a dividend, you don't get a real earnings, and there's great risk of bankruptcy. So why would anyone want to be in this market right now? Okay, good. What else? I think we can cover it there. 25 minutes. Yeah, I mean, they've all gone to their initial targets. Salgado, I mean, yeah, we can't share too much of the targets here, but a lot of the altcoins have gone to their first targets. The problem is that Bitcoin still looks quite weak. So because of that, all of these altcoins, you have to now go to your next targets, and the next targets are very, very low. Like for Salgado, for example, you know, that to me just looks like another bear flag. So the next target you'd have to say is sub 10 basically, and it's actually technically the target is even sub 5. You know, the way I'm reading this count. So my first target on Salgado was hit, and there were some nice little percentage moves here, but it appears it wants to go down to its next target, and so the next target is actually sub 5, and that's the problem operating on the log chart in a bear market. It will basically not make you any money, because can you dollar cost average another 62%? So dollar cost averaging becomes, I think, very, very risky, because it gets to the point where you've dollar cost averaged so much you don't know where you are. What if the coin goes to zero? So I think at some point next year Bitcoin will offer a great opportunity, maybe even prior to that, but it's not really right there right now. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. That's my rant for today. So join the group if you want to. It's FF20 and 20% off the masterclass. That's not going to happen again. So take advantage whilst you can, basically. Just giving away free information there. Anyway, I'll catch you guys soon.